Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 66 of the Coffee Squad podcast. Jake is still out, missing in action, so I have Steve with me again today. How you doing, Steve?
Good.
So today we are going to be talking about security systems, home security systems, kind of going over some of the pros and cons of doing it yourself and having a professional company come in and do it. And we'll probably tell a couple old war stories and get into it a little bit and go from there. How's that sound?
Yeah, man. I think this type of topic might be right up our alley as two former cops, especially from me from South Florida and you from up there on the the Middle East coast there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you have different range and obviously different ideas, but still the same type of probably the same type of calls, that we see all the time. Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's all the same. It might be a little bit different, but they're all generally the same.
And I mean, to start it off of, doing some research on this topic of home security systems, I just installed one yesterday, as a matter of fact, for a client. I did the Ring wireless because she had some criminal mischief on her property. And of course, she called the local police department and, based on what she was saying, there were some, let's just put it this way, as a cop, I don't know if you did or not, but I'm not knocking anybody, but I have seen this. I've seen cops sometimes that I've worked with try harder to get out of a call than to actually do the call. And so as a field training officer, I used to say to my rookies, when I would say in the morning, when you put on your uniform and you put your pen in your pocket and you look into the mirror, I want you to tell yourself, today I'm going to write some damn reports, a lot of them. I'm going to write a bunch of reports, just so that you get in that mindset that you're going to write some reports. And I would always say, you're only as good as your last call. That's it. There's no other thing that the department cares about. It's just your last call. So if you go somewhere where someone's been a victim of a crime, and you potentially act like you don't care, it kind of makes, and there's a lot of cops that care, but you're representing the sheriff and you're representing all the other cops that have come and gone and are part of that agency. And so it kind of puts a stain on the whole group. And there are a lot of cops who probably would have showed up and been a lot nicer and followed, done a follow up. And not saying he didn't, but you don't want to leave a bad taste in someone's mouth. So then the person looks at the police officer, right, and says, well, nothing's going to happen here, so I might as well start protecting myself. And then the citizens have to go. And that's when they learn that all of a sudden, hey, I'm on my own, I'm on my own. And that's what's kind of led us here today, right?
Yep. That's kind of why, one of the reasons I want to talk about it. We were trying to come up with a topic and, talking about how much crime has risen over the last year and a half since, COVID-19 obviously exacerbated everything, and the George Floyd with all the peaceful protests and everything that happened.
Right. Yeah. I was just watching something, and one of these news clips, and I don't know, you pick a media outlet, but they said that over the last year that 70 police officers had left the Capitol Police Department.
Wow.
70. And then I asked a friend of mine who works at a local sheriff's office, I won't mention any names, and that friend gave me some information and said our local sheriff's office here, which is, let's just call it, ex sheriff's department, is 53 officers down.
Yeah.
53. And they just fired 2, and they only have about 7 in the academy. So 53, and you would think that it's a number, I think, that they're trying to conceal, right? And not let the public know that, hey, that there's a crisis going on right now with police officers. Nobody wants to do this job, and I don't blame them.
Oh yeah. It's a thankless job with low pay in most places.
These guys are putting their lives on the line, and now they're their livelihoods, and their, could potentially be sued personally. I'm with them. Like, hey, don't take any risk, brother. Just
Oh yeah.
protect yourself.
Well, it's
And
I was gonna say you've seen a shift since over the last two couple. Well, it's been going on for more than a couple years. Over the last probably 10 years or so, you've seen a shift in most departments going from proactive to reactive, where they're really not. I mean, you still have some officers out there. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of them who are still going out there pounding the pavement and doing what they can, but
sure,
a lot of the policymakers and bureaucrats and stuff have gone towards more of reactionary call, reacting to a call instead of proactively trying to stop the call.
sure, they're trying to basically survive. We are also hearing rumblings from a lot of officers, a lot of local officers contact me, kind of, I don't know what, maybe just as an outlet to tell me different inside information. And there's a kind of infighting between the larger departments because the commodity right now is good police officers. So it's, if you get hired at location X, they make you sign a contract if they put you through the academy for 2 years. But location B, sheriff's department, comes in, swoops in, contacts you and says, hey, we'll buy your contract out if you come work for us. So there's this this
Mm-hmm.
competition for officers to fill these empty voids. There's just not enough, and it's becoming scary. So I believe that citizens right now, man, they just got to step back and kind of take their surroundings and look at how they can protect themselves better, because the police officers that are left may not be able to do that.
So yeah, exactly. Because not only are we in a hiring crisis, but crime is on the increase. CNN article. I don't usually go to CNN, but
Right, sure.
but 63
Sure
of
you sure you don't, Will.
the 63 of the 66 largest police jurisdictions saw increased in at least
Jake
one.
told me he watches it every day.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. Category of violent crimes in 2020, which include homicide, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. So they're only talking about violent crimes, but you and I both know as violent crime increases, so does petty crime and the lesser non-violent crimes.
Sure, sure.
So
Yeah.
that I think one of the easiest things that a person or homeowner or business owner can do is have a security system installed into their house.
It's so easy. It's unbelievable. I did it yesterday. I mean, I try. I can't even like tape two pieces of paper together. So for me to install this, it was the Ring camera system, and I did 3 of them, and they're wireless. And to look at the images and to look at the app and how it's gorgeous. Like 10 years ago, I couldn't imagine
Oh yeah.
that we would have something like that. I mean, and not only that, and I'm not promoting any one particular group, but this Ring I found out has something called Neighborhood, which is like
Mhm.
can connect all of these cameras together to watch an entire neighborhood. Is that not just
Yeah,
absolutely amazing?
it is. That's kind of when you go into mesh network and all that stuff, and depending on how much privacy and cyber issues you're worried about, you got to kind of take. That's one thing you kind of open yourself up to is if you're on your neighbor's network and stuff like that.
Sure.
But yeah, it's pretty neat because I know a lot of people in my neighborhood have it. I don't. My German Shepherd's pretty good at protecting my house, but I know a lot of the neighbors have the Ring camera or similar system, and they have their web page where they talk about everybody and everything. The little gossip column,
Sure.
and they're like, "Oh, do you see this?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I caught him on my Ring camera. I caught him on my doorbell camera." And within an hour, you probably have 5 or 6 people posting and talking about it and seeing what they saw. So,
but it is as maybe not to you and to me, and that's not very fascinating as ex-cops, but to them, trying to solve crimes, I applaud them. I'm like, hey, it's kind of the old. Remember when the people used to drive around in the golf carts? We had the community, and they carried the
Yep.
walkie-talkie, and they were out there doing something, or they had a night patrol in their neighborhood with a sticker on the door. And now I think this is more of the modern day version. And it really needs to happen more and more, especially with homes. But when it comes to businesses, and we're seeing an increase in the news, like shootings at businesses, people coming back and doing horrific things to people that the victimizing the people that work at the
Hmm.
place that they got fired from. I feel like these businesses really need more of a professional group to step in. So that's when they need to seek out a professional company to come in and protect the employees that are working in your business. I mean, if you got more than 10 employees, you should probably have somebody come in and do a security assessment that knows what they're talking about to make sure that you've got all your bases covered.
Yeah.
But if not, I think you're almost liable, in today's day and age. You really are. So
Well, I think it's just a matter of time before some of the victims start kind of holding their employers liable for stuff that happens.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And so I think,
I mean, this is a
it
very litigious society in America, so
sure
it's just a matter of time.
it's going to come down to that, where employees, ask employers, hey, how safe is it to work here? Because, I don't want, you know, Joe or whoever coming back with a machine gun and mowing us all down. And it is unfortunate that that's a real thing in our society, but it's a real thing. Like, it's a thing that happens, and we see it in the news constantly. So, um, to leave your doors wide open as a company after you fire somebody, or um, it's great. It's
Well,
totally liable. I mean, you're totally liable. So,
I mean,
if you're a business owner out there, get a hold of a reputable company that can come in and do a security assessment and tell you some simple things that you can fix. I know it might be expensive, but what's someone's life worth?
yeah.
That's
Well, that's you got to protect your assets. That's what it's all
sure,
about. I
especially
know. Yeah, after
especially after you fire someone,
yeah.
right?
I mean, back in the day, I don't know how it was where you worked, but we would always have to do business checks and stuff like that during our patrols on places that had called and said, "Hey, we fired somebody that we might have a problem." So we'd keep a constant check on the place. Well, with the staffing issues and funding issues and everything going on right now, most departments don't have that luxury to do that anymore.
No, we actually had a crime prevention unit under one of the sheriffs that I worked for, and he had three, maybe two or three people assigned to that unit, and they would go out and do crime prevention. And we developed, I think most departments have these little stickers that you stick
Mhm.
on the door for the alarm, so that there's a contact when the alarm goes off. Um, and ours was a gold star. It was stuck to the door. It had a number, and then you would tell dispatch, "Hey, the number is one,
Mhm.
two, three, four, five," and then they would call. They'd look that number up and call the contact who would come out. Um, and after a situation would happen, and it was after the fact. Sometimes people then would contact, "Oh, well, my business got burglarized. Well, let me send crime prevention out and let's look at some ways to help." But yeah, that's got defunded. That's gone. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So you kind of have this officer who's doing multitasking. He's showing up. He's seeing the smashed window. He's going in trying to assess the local florist who got, her cash register smashed open with some sort of tool. This drunk guy found in the parking lot, smashed her uh, cash register. And so one of the things I used to always tell people when I was doing business checks is do simple things. Leave your cash register open, take the box out of it, put
Mhm.
it on the top, and just leave it open so that when the homeless guy looks through the window, to see if the cash register's sitting there, all he sees is the money part sitting out and it's open. Because I've seen cash registers, just it looked like, the gorilla, the old thing where the gorilla's jumping on the
Yeah.
luggage. Yeah. And there's just like cement, and it's like the whole building's torn out, smashed, everything, and then there's nothing in the cat. You could see the guy spent hours trying to open it,
Hmm.
and he's ruined everything. So simple little tricks like that can save someone so much money and so much heartache. by doing little things like that. Always leave your cash register open when you close your business, and
Empty.
empty, and set the empty box up where it's visible through the window, so that the homeless guy or whoever's going to break the window can see it. Um, Another thing we would see is we would see trucks back into complete convenience stores, and these dudes would get out of the truck, run over to this safe, wrap a chain or a pull strap around it, and then pull the entire safe out with whatever $35 in the safe, and ruin $100,000
Yep.
front of the store to do that. So there's ways to inform those folks that there's nothing in this safe.
Yeah.
Just leave it open. When you leave at night, leave the safe open.
Yeah. So, simple things like that are kind of things people don't think about, and they're easy steps to help kind of deter anything. Like going back to homes, just something as simple as little stickers on the windows and the little sign up front that helps deter people. I mean, at this house I currently in, I have my alarm and my dogs. At my previous house, I just had my dogs, but I still had the little alarm things out front to make it look like I had an alarm system in that house. So just something simple as that. If you can get your hands on one of those, it helps.
We have a thing. Do you guys have what's called car hopping?
Yeah.
I'm sure you do. Yeah, car hopping. So people don't know what this means, but I'm going to just inform you what car hopping is. Car hopping is when a group of kids get together on bicycles or on foot or in a vehicle, and they hit a neighborhood. And what they do is they'll all get out and they'll run down the side of the street checking door handles on cars. And they open the door. If the car door is unlocked, they open it, they go inside your car, and they take all your change. They take your pistol out of the glove box, which shouldn't be there. They take everything in your car, and then they just gently shut the door or leave it open.
Yep.
And they do this all the way down the street. I've gone to streets where there could be 30, there's no joke, 30 or 40 cars on one street unlocked. And you look at the people and you go, you kind of, as a deputy, I can say it now, and I go, why are you an idiot? Like, why are you leaving your car unlocked? What year is it that you think it's a safe thing? Like all of you left your car unlocked, and you're so mad because you're tied up for 4 hours as a cop doing 40 car burglaries that could have been prevented because, I mean, for lack of a better term, dumbasses just leave their car unlocked. And you're like, and you left your pistol in your car with the door unlocked? Like, what? Like, who does that? So, to me, you've been there. You right? I mean, tell me you haven't been there, and you want to say something, but you're like, yes, ma'am. No, sir. And now we see signs as we're coming into town where the police are trying to gently say what I'm saying out loud. Please lock your doors because we don't have enough cops to do 12 hours of burglary reports on 42 cars in your neighborhood that were unlocked. So it just it's amazing to me that people are just walking around functioning but leaving a pistol. Jake, I can write to you. Yeah, it's amazing to me that someone leaves a pistol in their car with a door unlocked, or a money, or well, there was like $3,000 laying in the back.
Yeah, that's crazy that people keep that kind of stuff in their cars. I don't understand that.
Right.
So getting back to home security.
Sorry, that was a rant.
That's all right. It's a pet peeve. I know how it is.
You got me on. I'm going to rant about Jake.
There you go.
Jake.
So, what are some things? Why should you have a home security? Like, what does a home security system provide for you? So, one thing is peace of mind, right? You kind of get that extra layer of security at your house, and it kind of gives you a little bit more peace of mind, saying that if something does happen, my alarm system will go off, and whether you're monitoring yourself or you're paying somebody to monitor it, you know that somebody's watching your house, right? When I go on vacation, I always have my neighbors or whatever keep an eye on my house, checking on it. So it's always nice to have that little extra peace of mind going on.
Yeah, it is. Look, it's not even, and you tell people the chances of you getting your door kicked in by a group of guys and tied up are very low, unless you're a drug dealer with 20 pounds of pot sitting underneath your coffee table. That's very low risk. But the chances of your car getting burglarized, or your boat, or your fishing supplies, or your shed, or something like
Yeah.
that, that's high, very high risk. The chances of someone running over your mailbox, that's a pain in the butt. Uh, and so you want to catch that person. So alarm systems, you know, I mean, alarm systems are okay, but these cameras now are
Yeah.
100 times better than an alarm system.
Well,
The ones I put in were motion detected. They were they actually ran off a solar panel, so you never have to charge
mhm.
them, and they connect to your phone. When something moves, your phone alerts you that there's a movement. It's come on, man. Like had the problem is that I saw yesterday is that our whole area is bought out of those cameras. You
Yeah, oh,
can't
yeah.
find them.
It's well, everything's a shortage
People
right
are
now.
people are
Yeah.
snatching them up. I mean, so
Yeah.
get out there and get a camera, and if you have to, find a friend to put it up around your house.
I think the best systems are the ones that incorporate both motion sensors, cameras, and alarm systems, all kind of intermingled together. So you get everything. You have everything covered. So your cameras are covering. Um,
But let me ask you this. So, yeah, yeah, and so I think that, yeah, I agree with you, Jake. It's a peace of mind, especially if you're gone, like you're away from home, and you know, you've got something important going on at your house, or you've got your family there or something like that. You want to protect them, so you can watch constantly. I've got a Wise camera, and I can see in my house as
yep.
well. So I can look on the app and see it's motion detected. I can look at my dog, and see what's going on. I've got it kind of low so I can see,
Hmm.
my dog sleeping or something's happening with her. But let me ask you this. Let me jump back real quick. Um, if the police are short, right? So if we know we have a shortage of police, whether the police are admitting it or not, we're kind of guessing that we do based on the statistics and crime going up, and some police are actually telling me, hey, look, I'm just trying to survive and not end up
Oh
on
yeah.
you on there. This guy literally says, I go through every day just trying not to end up on YouTube.
Yep.
That's like my main goal in life. And I said, that's a pretty sad existence. um, so is he trying to go out there and shake the bushes and solve crime? No, he's trying to make it to retirement so he can get out of that job. So when he leaves your house after your car window got smashed out, I remember an incident I went to where a whole neighborhood, the kids had a slingshot with marbles,
Hmm.
steel marbles, ball bearings, and they shot every single window all over town. The kid ended up being related to a professional person in Manatee County, and it was kind of a big deal. But we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of damage. Cameras back then would have caught them, but
Got him. Yep.
fortunately, we did follow up. We did end up catching them. But today, when the cops leave your crime scene, do you really feel confident that that cop is going to go out and try to solve your crime of your SUV's window being broken?
Hmm.
So your camera is actually helping you solve that crime.
I mean, I can tell you my experience, when we were shorthanded and overworked, which most departments are anyways, if it was a misdemeanor, which just breaking a window is, it's just damage to personal property, real
Sure.
property, depending on what it is. Unless you had any leads, it pretty much got put to the side and said, if something comes up, great, but right now there's nothing to follow up. Now, if it's a felony, it goes up to the detective division, but they're so overworked with stuff that it takes them forever to get stuff. And I mean, they
Sure.
do the best they can, but when you have 5 detectives working a caseload that should go to 10 people, it's hard to do. And obviously homicides and rapes and robberies and stuff like that are going to take precedent over other felonies,
Yeah.
but just not
Right.
as high. So, it's hard to get, as I feel for the victims, because it's hard to get the answers that you want. I mean, not only you're not only your victim, but you feel, what's the word? You feel violated
Yeah.
because your home or your car or something has been broken into or whatever. And you want answers and you want to make sure that the person that did it is off the street. And sometimes they
I
just don't
told
have the
right.
time.
I told my client, I said, listen, I'm going to be honest with you and break it down for you. That officer, the place where this was, they're definitely shorthanded. They're so shorthanded, they have to put cars with empty, with
Mm-hmm.
nothing, and like they have to park them in places because they ain't got enough cops to.
Yep.
It's just a sad situation. I really am in fear for that agency, and hope that they can pull the nose up on it and get some leadership in there that will help them grow and become, the people deserve better. But that's a whole different story. But I told her, I said, really, is do you, this guy's going to another call. He probably had 4 or 5 calls stacked because, you know, his zone partner called in sick. This guy's on another call over here. They're already short staffed. They're not going to assign it to a traffic unit because they're special or whatever. So, he's working his tail off, this poor guy. He's running from call to call, and he's not going to follow up on that call.
Yeah.
That's over. That he hit send on the report, and he'll never see that again. And I don't blame him. He's doing what he can to just make it through the day.
Yeah.
So I think, you got to take matters in your own hand, and especially like cornering it back to business as well. We focused a lot on home, but to me, I think that where we're missing the boat also is businesses, especially the ones that are still now working, factories or wherever there's people are. They're all starting to come back. Crime is on the uprise. You really, as a business owner, I mean, it's a whole nother level of just putting cameras outside your building now. Now it's you're getting into when you fire somebody, you really, especially somebody that might be dangerous, you should have the police there. That should be a service that the police offer, is to escort the guy off the property. Like, hey, we're firing you, and now you're gone, and we're going to escort you.
Yeah.
Some agencies will do that. Some don't want to get involved in it, which I feel is unfortunate. But I think if I was the sheriff of a county, and that would be my number one priority, would be if a large company said, hey, we're firing a problem employee, well, I'm sending 2 deputies out there,
Yeah.
and then after that, we're going to assess your building, right? Or we're going to ask you to assess your building and make sure that your security is proper. So that this guy can't come back and hurt somebody.
Well, that's one of my pet peeves. I know, I know somebody who worked for a large company, and they fired somebody, and they didn't take that person's badge away. They didn't deactivate it. They didn't notify any of the lower underlings, whatever you want to call it, lower employees. They weren't in management. They didn't advise any of the other employees that person had been fired. So the next day, that person came back, slid the badge in, went right through the access control point, and everybody's like, okay.
Right. He knows about the rock in the door because, everybody knows about the rock in the door, or the piece of wood in the door. Jake can chime in on this. He's probably seen it before as well. But every single business in the world has the back door with the
rock
the 2x4 or whatever it is, to keep, so that Susie can run out and smoke cigarettes at the picnic table. And he knows that, so he knows even if he doesn't have a badge, he can get back in it. And that kind of stuff is the type of stuff that a security professional could come in and say, no more rock in the door. You can't do this. Like, if you're going to smoke, and they tell the business owner, where these people can go and what the protocol should be for going outside, and leaving these vulnerable, I don't know what you would call them, vulnerable,
it's vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's a vulnerability. Yeah.
Sure. You just walk right in, no problem.
Yeah.
And who's going to question it?
Well, that's the thing. That's why, I know it's a personnel issue that you show. Not everybody needs to know somebody got fired, but I think they do. If they're a threat and you think that they may come back and do something, then everybody in their company should say, hey, sure, you see this person on property, notify us immediately, because they're not supposed to be here.
I don't know.
Just leave it at that.
I would say that you almost have to develop some type of, as a business, like an alert system. Like, we're, for the next week or so, we're in this high alert of, we just fired, John, and, not saying he's a dangerous guy, but since we fired him, we're going, and this is standard procedure for when we fire everyone, we go into this alert system. Keep your eyes peeled, say something if you see something, if you see the rock or the 2x4, tell someone. Don't let that happen. the tape on the door. I could just go on and on, the craziness, right? So someone always figures out a way
Oh yeah.
to do something.
Well, insider threat's probably one of the biggest threats, I think, when it comes to businesses, and whether that insider is no longer employed or still employed, they know the ins and outs of the place, and they know what's going on and what policies are enforced and not enforced and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
So other things that your security system can provide for you, it lowers your homeowner insurance. If you talk to them and tell your homeowner's insurance that you do have it monitored, they do want it to be monitored. They don't specify most of them. It depends on your policy. It doesn't specify whether it's monitored by you or a company, depending on the policy now. But if you have a monitored home security system, it does lower your insurance a little bit. So that's one thing that is good for it. And I know a lot of these new sensors that they have out, it'll let you know if there's a fire, smoke, gas leak, or even floods in your house. It'll alert you. So
wow,
some of those sensors are getting pretty high tech. It's pretty cool.
So here in Florida, we have what's called a snowbird,
and we do too.
For those of you that don't know what it is, it's not really a bird. It's just a person, and they live in Florida. Used to be famous for mobile home parks, especially when I was a young officer. And then those mobile home parks would, right around tax day, they would be empty because everybody had to get back either to Canada or to your neck of the woods or to Michigan or wherever they were from. So we would be left with these mobile homes, and there would be 200 or 300 in a park, and they would be empty. So the people would shut them up for the summer and then head back in the winter. Well, we would patrol occasionally, but there would really be nobody in the park, maybe a few stragglers here and there. And so right around the beginning of season, we get a call to this mobile home park, and virtually along this one row, every single mobile home had been burglarized. And the person had snuck over a fence and gone through the back, and you can't really tell till people, and then they start, and then John, the unofficial mayor of the mobile home park, starts going door to door. Well, his is burglarized, and you're standing there and you're going, oh no, there's more. We got 5 more down here. So you're like, it's going to be a long day. Let me crack my knuckles and sharpen my pencil.
Yeah.
So the funny story is, there was one out of all these houses, one house that did not get burglarized, and he had a sign out front that said, "House is booby trapped. Enter at your own risk." And so that house was untouched. There was no booby traps in the house, but just that
was enough deterrence to keep somebody from breaking in. Yeah.
It's right. It's one little thing. Why would I go into this house? Right. The reason you're a burglar is because you're lazy to begin with. Right. I mean, you're already lazy. You don't want to work. So you're going in and burglarizing a house. Well, if you look at a house and it has an alarm sign out front, even if it's a fake alarm sign, why would you take that risk when you can go to the house next door that doesn't have one? So anything you can do to protect your house or your property like that is worth it.
I totally agree.
Booby trap. But I know Jake probably really has booby traps.
He's got some young kids. I don't know if he lets them around.
Yeah, he's got tripwires somewhere. There's something. I'm scared to go on his property.
Yeah.
Without looking around and
just follow where he's
checking for wires.
My dogs leave booby traps in the backyard for you. Okay. So back talking about the security alarm, the security systems. What are some pros and cons of having someone like you, a professional installer, or me doing it myself, right? A professional pro installing it compared to doing it yourself, right? So I know the Ring, like you did the Ring, right? I know they've got Nest and there's a lot of them out there right now. There's a lot out there right now.
There's really no excuse. I mean, because the prices vary as well. The only excuse is, he's like, I got him. Yeah. He's like, he's told his children, Daddy says, don't step over here. Yeah. Right.
Disclaimer right here. Make sure it's facing out and don't touch the wire. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. See this wire? Yeah. This is don't step there. So, there's no excuse except for money. I understand if you don't have a lot of money, but I mean, realistically, the Wise Cam, I'm looking, I think I've got an extra one around here somewhere. The Wise Cam, I still think is $20, isn't it? 19.99.
Yeah, it's like cheap. I mean, there's lots of different options, but that's one of
Yeah,
the more
and
expensive or least expensive ones.
yeah, it still does a great job. I think if you might be someone who's not mechanically inclined, who doesn't know how to run a drill or something like that, you can definitely find a
Well,
handyman to put that up for you.
well, they even have some now. They're just peeling sticks, like the little the smart little things. You just peel them up and stick them.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So yeah, so I mean, trying to come up with a con against having cameras around your house nowadays, I don't know if there is one. I
Well, I
mean,
mean, the only ones I can think of is you have to learn the system. You don't have somebody teaching you how to do it, but really, with YouTube and most companies have,
right,
uh, helper, if they don't have something in writing, you can call them up and they'll walk you through it, or they might even have videos on their website, and you have to do it yourself. But like you said, you could always hire a handyman to come do it. The biggest thing is that it may take you a while to kind of learn where to put the cameras and how to position them so you get exactly what you want. Because somebody who's not experienced, they put a camera out, they might not realize that the street light's washing it out. And you can't see anything until they look at it at night, stuff
sure.
like that. So those little things like that, you learn along the way as a professional or as somebody who's done it before that somebody who's doing it the first time might not know. So that's really the only kind of cons that I could think of.
And I think as far as your business goes, I don't know. I'm just going to set like I don't know if this is the right number, but I would think that a business with over 10 employees, let's just say that as an example, I feel that at that point, you have to call in a security, like you have to call in a professional to do because you have so many lives. And not only that, you may have customers coming and going. Um, and then of course you may have product in there that needs to be, that may be important as well. So having a proper security assessment and a professional install all the things that are recommended by the assessment, I feel like that is a must.
Yeah.
If you got a big business and you're out there yourself, like screwing up, Wi-Fi cameras, that's, I don't know if that's the right thing, but for your house, I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, and another good thing about if you're doing it at your house, you can kind of pick and choose what you want. Where I mean, you get a little bit of that with the big guys, the people who install it, but you're gonna have to pay more usually to do that. If you want, let's say a smoke detector alert, you might have to spend a little bit more for that sensor than you would if you did it yourself. So the good thing about having a professional do it is they know what they're doing and you have the peace of mind. They set it up for you that you don't really have to do anything except wait for them to get there. That's another good thing. If you do it yourself, you don't have to set an appointment and wait. You can put it in as soon as you get it.
Yeah.
Professionally, you're going to have to pay for the installation fees. You're going to have to pay for a monthly monitoring fee and contract. Depending on the contract, the company, it can be up to a monthly or up to 3 years. Appointment required for installations and, standard system. I mean, I know like my house, it came with a alarm system already pre-installed. So all I had to do was pay for them to come in and basically put the buttons in and go, I
Have
know
you ever
some.
have you ever seen that that sign? I'm sure Jake has one on his door. It says "Guarded by Smith and Wesson." You know, you know. Have you? Do you have that sign in your yard that says "My dog can make it across the yard"? And
I don't have it. No, I like for them to get up close and hear, and then they hear and they're like, "Oh crap, no, that's a big dog."
I can't remember how it goes. Like
So
my
my dog
dog.
can make it to the fence in like 2.6 seconds. How
How
fast are you, or something
Yeah,
like that? Yeah.
exactly.
Or nothing
Yeah,
in
that.
this house is worth your life.
Well,
That
that
type of thing.
insurance companies nowadays. I was reading a story a couple of years ago where an FPL. We have FPL down here as Florida Power and Light. An FPL reader uh, was reading a meter on the side of a
Hmm.
house and was attacked by two pit bulls, and the pit bulls mangled the girl's face, just literally, hammered her. Anyways, the person was a renter at the house, But there's a few dogs talking about security. There's a few dogs that you can't have under certain insurance. Do you
Yeah.
know what those dogs are? Is it like pit bull,
Um,
German Shepherd?
German Shepherd, Pit Bull, maybe Dobies,
I think mine won't
a
allow
Belgian
German.
Malinois, maybe. There's
Yeah,
certain ones, yeah, that have that perceived that they're a attack
I have
dog.
State Farm, and we can't have a Doberman, German Shepherd, or a definitely a pit bull or any type of bulldog mix under our insurance. Our homeowners will not allow it.
No.
It's kind of like a trampoline. You just
Yeah.
can't, there's something you can't have. So that's unfortunate because a lot of good pit bulls out there that are
Oh yeah.
great dogs, and that need homes.
A
But
buddy of mine he's had my buddy of mine since I've known him. He's always had pits, and they're some of the sweetest dogs I've ever been.
they
It's
are
more about, I think it's more about how the owner has trained them than the dog
for sure.
itself. It's just nature
Dogs
versus
are
nurture.
dogs are like our oldest companion
Yeah.
and our greatest asset as human beings, and our greatest alert systems. I know
Oh yeah.
meth dealers and crack dealers used to set them up on each corner of their property, chained up, which is unfortunate,
Yeah.
especially when you're doing a search warrant. And you're approaching the property, you can kind of see where we're going with this, but um, they have, that's their alert system,
Hmm.
that's their alarm system. And if you have a good Labrador retriever, I mean, that's, man, those dogs are on point. They know when someone's there. It's a good deterrent. And you could also rescue a pet and maybe get your own internal alarm system. If you're asleep at night, a Labrador retriever or any type of dog will certainly get up and let you know something's going on. So
For the most part, yeah.
that's a really cheap alarm system. Yeah.
It is. I mean, I think dogs are great. I mean, not only are they good companions, but I think they're a great, even I won't say alternative to a home security system because I think they add to it.
Right.
And depending on the dog, I mean, a little yippy dog will be just as noisy as a big one, but it's not quite as scary depending on the person.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I've got a little tiny dog, and she hears everything. And when
yeah.
she thinks she's pit bull for sure,
Oh yeah.
but when she hears something, I can tell by the way spit's flying out of her mouth that it's for real. So yeah,
So I know one thing I don't know, I found this out kind of doing the research for this episode is that a lot of these like Simply Safe rings, they actually do offer monitored or do it yourself monitoring type plans.
sure,
So you can do a monthly plan where they monitor, or you can do it yourself. Now, depending on the company and the plan, you don't get all the bells and whistles. Like one of the companies, if you monitor yourself, you can look at it and whatever, but you don't get push notifications through the app. You have to kind of keep an eye on it yourself. Whereas if you pay for them and it's only like $10 a month, so it's nothing outrageous, you pay and they will actually allow you to record the video and it'll send you push notifications and stuff like that. So depending on the company, that's where the research comes in to do your due diligence on which company you want to use or which brand you want to use. And they actually, depending on the plan you get more, obviously, right?
do you remember welfare checks doing
Oh yeah.
for elderlies, and
Yep.
then finding them
Oh
either
yeah.
stuck in the bathroom or on the floor for days?
Oh yeah.
And it's so unfortunate because you go in and no one's been in the house for 3 days, and the neighbor says, hey, I haven't seen Martha. And you go in there and she's stuck in the
Yep.
bathroom somewhere where she fell down. I feel like nowadays, hopefully that some of these systems are beneficial. I realize that some elderly people can't really function with technology as well as the
Hmm.
younger people, but I mean, there's got to be groups of people that are helping, folks like that install these alarm and camera systems.
Well, I think the Life Alert, right? I phone I can't get up, that old commercial. I think
Yeah,
they've got stuff now where it's just a button that they push, and as long as they can do that, and nowadays with like Alexa and Google, whatever Google's is, and all that stuff, Siri, they can actually set it up to where they can just say it. Once it's
right.
voice activated, you can say it. Hey, I think is it Ring? Is an Amazon. I think Ring is Amazon company, so you can actually interface that with your Alexa. You can, hey,
Most of them you can. I was
yeah,
just looking at one this morning, which is like a square block, a black square, and it does Alexa too.
hmm
But I don't know. I could say like if my grandmother were still alive, I would know that she would just not know how to work that
Oh yeah.
kind of stuff. So I encourage any elderly people always, hey, contact a security professional, and
Yeah.
let's find out what works best for you,
Well,
that'll help you. Don't be a victim.
well, I know my parents. They're pretty good at technology, but if something that they need something, they usually call me, and I can most of the time walk it through. Or like last time I went home, I kind of set up I redid their system for them and all that stuff. Their cyber security, I helped them out with and set up a couple of things, so now they can stream things and stuff like that. So if you are a child to an elderly person and you want to get something like that, I mean, it's you get we are more familiar with it than they are, and
Sure.
it's just because
Go
we
help
grew.
them. Right.
Go help them. You just
Help
go
your
do it.
neighbor. Right. Help your
Yeah,
neighbor
if you
get
have a
out
neighbor
there.
or whatever, it doesn't take long to do it. And I think Ring alarm system. Another good thing about them, I'm not endorsing Ring, or it's either Ring or Simply Safe. I can't remember which one. One of them, or maybe they both do offer this. Has it to where let's say like my house, I have a incorporated alarm system. It was built with the house. You can actually get whatever it's Ring or whatever, and they actually have a little thing that you can interface it with it, so you don't have to replace all that stuff. You can use the existing alarm system instead of
Oh,
buying a
cool.
whole new one.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
that goes into your due diligence and looking and researching what you think is the best system for you.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of options out there.
Do people know what porch pirate? Do we need to talk about porch pirates?
I mean, we can talk about it. I think we discussed it last year on an episode. I mean, with the new Ring camera, I think that has a lot. The Ring doorbell camera. I think I think Nest might have one. There's multiple
That one
companies,
gets
but
everybody. There's a guy that has a video. That's all he did. He did one video, and it's got millions of views out there. And I don't know if you could throw a link up when you edit this. He actually puts traps and cell phones inside packages and captures these people, and it blows glitter. It blows glitter all over there. It is so funny to watch. I mean, it's absolutely worth watching, and how well these products work.
Yeah, I want to say that I don't know if he got in trouble or not, because he's essentially
he did a part 2 and a second part. Yeah, he did a part like a number 2 as well.
Okay.
But he's some sort of scientist. He has his own YouTube channel.
Yeah, because since he was like setting them up and it was a booby trap, essentially booby trapping them. I don't know. There's somebody I read somewhere, or maybe Jake was telling me about it, that he might be getting into trouble for it. I call
that street justice.
Yeah, I do too.
Good for him. Right.
You know how society is, though.
Put me on the jury. Not guilty.
The victims are no longer the victims.
Right.
The bad guys are the victims now, right?
So, jeez, come on, man. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it takes me back to, and I'm not endorsing this, air quotes, but if you are a woman that lives alone and you have a creeper, a peeping Tom, one of the things that you can do, which would definitely alert you if someone was standing outside your window, is you can take a piece of wood, 2x4 or 2x6, and simply go out and buy a box of very large nails and nail those into the wood and put them right outside your bedroom window, wherever that creeper's looking at. And if he goes to stepping around your window, you'll certainly find out, because you'll hear him screaming, because his foot will be stuck to that board. And so, if it's, if you're scared and you're in fear, hey, I can't see him coming back and, maybe trying to sue somebody because he stepped on but really?
Yeah, I mean, so it depends on your state and your jurisdiction and how people are, because that could be considered booby trapping, lying in wait type stuff. So, there's like that little.
It is
definitely.
But,
yeah, I mean,
but at the same time, I mean, you got this creeper who whatever he's doing, looking at some kid or woman or something like that. I mean, once again, my opinion, not the opinion of Coffee Squad. It is definitely needed. And,
but something as simple as
street justice. Yeah. Once again,
something as simple as putting gravel instead of mulch outside your window, and maybe having a thorny bush, that right there will alert you in deterrence. Stuff like that. But
definitely can guarantee you, Jake has boards of nails laying all around his windows just for fun.
I don't know. what is it, the Punjabi pits or whatever? With
Yeah,
the
exactly. He's got that. He's got something like that somewhere.
Yeah, he probably does. All right. Well,
Oh,
all right. Well,
what else we got?
I think that about covers it, right? I can't think of anything else.
All right.
Just kind of covering some security cameras and stuff like that. If you guys have any questions or anything, reach out to us. coffeesquadpodcast.com. Steve, you got anything else
No, like I said, just two things. If you're doing it by yourself and you can't call a neighbor, call a friend, call a handyman, or do it yourself. But if you're a business, call a professional, call a company to come out. If you got over 10 employees, those people's employees are in your life, your hands. Get rid of the rock in the door. Go back. They got a rock.
Yeah.
Back there somewhere where she goes out and smokes cigarettes and leaves the rock in the door. That's got to go. So.
Well, I think it's surprising how easily, if you just enforce current policies and procedures, you will tighten up your security a lot.
Yeah.
Just doing
today's day and age, right? Today, it's no joke today. Read
Absolutely.
the news.
Yep.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
It's happening all the time.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you. Next week, we're going to have a special guest, Chief Palladori from Southern Pines Police Department is going to be on. We're going to be talking about some stuff with that. Steve's going to join us again because Jake's still out there playing in the wilderness. So I'll see you next week.